Hey there, Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon joining you once again here. We just got done talking to the folks over at the American Red Cross about some of their shelters and things going on here across North Mississippi, things they're doing to ensure that people stay warm, and of course, giving you that phone number, 1-800-RED-CROSS, among some local information there. We have a different live stream that you can go and find in our feed there about that. We want to talk with folks over at Mississippi Department of Transportation. There are a couple different layers with obviously getting needs where they need to go, and the folks at MDOT are working as hard as they can as well to try to, as they have before the event, make sure things are passable and everything is in good shape. Joining me from the Mississippi Department of Transportation is David Kenney. He is the Public Information Officer, basically the person that talks to people about sorts of things. And you guys have had a busy few days, surely, with this major event. Start off by just telling us, how things are, what the assessment is at this point across the northeast and northwest part of the state in particular.
Yeah, the north part of the state, entire north part of the state, we still have ice on roads and bridges. We are happy to say that our interstates and four-lane highways are all open at this time, but because they're open doesn't necessarily mean it's safe to travel. At this time, we're still recommending emergency travel only still because of interstates like I-55, I-22, major routes like that are still covered in ice. I'm watching the traffic cameras this morning. Traffic is still moving, but there's still a good layer of ice on there, so people really have to slow down. Now, what's continuing to happen, is our crews are going out today probably in the biggest force they've probably been able to do since this storm hit Friday, Saturday, is they're going to be out plowing as much as they can. Our hope is that today the indications are in the forecast that temperatures will rise above freezing and continue to help in that ice melting effort. Once we start breaking that ice up, that allows our plows to get in there and really push that stuff out of the way and clear the roadway. But we're asking people, emergency travel only right now. If they do get out and get on these interstates and highways, just take it easy, take it slow, and maintain a slow speed, and realize that ice is going to form on bridges and overpasses before it forms on the roadway. So your braking distance is going to be greatly reduced. But we just want everyone to stay safe out there, slow it down, and just allow extra time to reach your destination.
Yeah, I think one thing people don't realize is the first day or so sun hits it, especially sleet, it's not a good thing. You go from something that is slushy and passable to then freezes a hard crust on top, and that second day after sun, and that would be this morning, the night we had last night and this morning, sometimes is more slick than the first day. So that you don't have plows that can dig into that. It has to start melting before the plows can get in there. That takes time.
Yes, it does. And then at night, over the next few nights, the temperatures are going to go back down below freezing. So we're going to have black ice forming and this ice recreating itself on the roadways. But when we can get our plows in and start breaking some of this stuff up, they're pretty effective in clearing the roadways. Other than that, we're going to continue to treat the roads, putting down salt to hopefully melt away any ice that forms, and then slag on top of any ice that forms to provide traction.
This is a fairly widespread effort you guys are undergoing to try to get this, back kind of in place, back under control. I went and pulled up satellite here, and this is not cloud cover. This is the widespread nature of what is largely ice, not snow, but ice in some form or fashion, either sleet or some kind of sleet snow mix. This is a large area to try to have to contain, but you guys don't cover every single road. We're talking major roadways in particular, which leaves a lot of these back roads, that last mile that we keep talking about that's most difficult for folks to traverse. That's the one that where you guys don't necessarily maintain, right?
That's exactly right. Our responsibility is for interstates, highways, which can be 4-lane or 2-lane, but we do not do city streets or county roads. So those will be up to municipalities and counties to handle treatment and clearing of those roads. But what we're doing is strategic. We had crews from South and Central Mississippi moving up into North Mississippi today to assist the crews there, the maintenance crews, and their plowing and clearing efforts. We're just hoping to increase the manpower, the number of snow plows on the road. We have over 120 snow plows in our fleet, and that's a pretty good number for a state that normally doesn't have to deal with winter weather. So we're going to try to get as many of those trucks out there today as we can to help in that clearing effort. We just ask people to be aware that our crews are out there working and give them space to do this important work. It'll get traffic moving at a faster rate.
Yes, you guys have to have the room to do it. I know sometimes you go in 2 or 3s down the road. I know that even I, when trapped a few years ago, saw like a fleet of like 3 of them coming down the road a day and a half later and said, well, why weren't they here sooner? You know, there are certain road conditions where you can do something, but until that ice starts to melt a little bit, you've got some issues.
That's right. We'll be out treating where we can, and we also want to maintain the safety of our workers. As you know, this ice storm was pretty significant. The main threat was trees and power lines falling across our roadway. So we're working closely with local utilities to clear those power lines, some of them entangled in trees, out of the roadway. And we've heard back from those utility companies that with our assistance, they can work about 10 times faster with our plowing and our tree clearing efforts, working alongside of them, because they're just responsible for the power lines. But we can help get the trees out of the roadway. And once that happens, they can move on to the next job.
And that the trees in the roadways, I think, might be some of the most significant issues that are out there at this point, because I mean, with every one of those, you're not just going to run a plow into that and keep going. Those have to be cleared. And most of the plows are probably not on those secondary roads where you have trees. Those right-of-ways are typically cleared well back beyond that there. You know, some folks will say, you know, well, why did it get this bad? You know, I saw people treating. You know, treatment only works so well when you have the rain component. Can you speak to how that kind of works? You know, you put the brine down and then it rains. You know, how effective is it in that scenario when you get the freezing rain and then you put something else on top of that?
Sure. We launched our largest salt brine pretreatment operation in the state of Mississippi ever, starting last Thursday. And so we covered all interstates and 2-lane highways and some, all of the 4-lane highways. So we felt that we had pretty good pretreatment on the ground before the storm hit. It was 167,000 gallons across north and some of our western border counties. But the amount of ice that has fallen over an inch in some places, that pretreatment is only going to do so much and go so far to preventing ice from forming on the roadway. So the amount of ice that we got was significant. We did everything we could on the front end to prevent icing on roadways. Now we've moved into the recovery phase where we're out there plowing and treating the roadways and trying to get off what is still there. And it's a pretty good amount in many places.
Yeah, I'm looking at a lot of these cameras up along I-22, primarily closer to DeSoto County, Marshall County. I mean, that's a different scenario than what some other folks had. You get far enough northwest there, and there was kind of a snow and sleet component. You don't have as many power outages, so folks maybe get a little more cabin fever because they are at home and they want to get out. But I mean, those trucks are moving very, very slowly and hopefully cautiously out there. Those roads aren't good still.
Right, they're pretty rough, but the trucks are going slow. These are probably more experienced drivers in winter weather than many of the people in Mississippi are. So hopefully they know what they're doing, taking it slow. We did have a pretty bad backup on I-22 yesterday after trucks were involved or in a crash or couldn't make it through. We had some of our equipment go out there and tie up and remove them from the roadway to get traffic moving again. But once again, if people do go out, take it very slow. The interstates are open. It's going to be up to you, but we just recommended emergency travel at this time.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement, especially up here in the northwest part of the state. I'm pulling up your guys' traffic site, and basically it shows slowdowns everywhere from New Albany northwest in the part of the state, and then I-22. I mean, not I-22, I-55 with issues all the way down through Yalobusha County at least. That's still a large portion of the area that's going to have some issues for the next couple of days. When do you think? And again, maybe this is more a meteorology question anyway, but when do you hope to have roads where they are clear enough for reasonable travel based on just experience and kind of the situation you're hearing from folks in the field?
Uh, we're hoping that Mother Nature can help us out in that effort, but I would think it's going to be a couple days with the amount of work that still needs to be done, and the amount of lane miles that need to be cleared. It looks like our pre-treatment in many places has kept the travel lane on the right-hand side open in many places. Um, in extreme North Mississippi, you can still see that both lanes are covered with snow. But it all depends on how warm we get, and how much that pavement really warms up over the next couple days to assist our efforts in plowing and clearing the roadways.
Okay, so here's a question that came to mind here a second ago, and I don't know the answer to this. Um, if you get to the point that we get these main thoroughfares and all the main MDOT areas, cleared up, is it something that counties that need assistance can call on MDOT at that point for assistance once you've got your right of ways and everything back in check? If there are still significant issues, Benton, Tippah, Yalobusha, Lafayette County, Alcorn County, that they can call on folks in MDOT to help out in that situation. Is that a collaboration that happens, or is there a different channel in which that usually works?
I don't believe we will be doing any work on county or city streets, but yesterday the governor said that he was going to activate the National Guard. So we are waiting to see how they will assist in some of those more rural areas, in clearing trees and getting roads back open. Their assistance could be greatly appreciated in some of those areas that are, rural and probably don't have all the equipment to do all that kind of work. So we're waiting to see how they will assist in some of the counties and maybe cities in getting rid of some of this ice off the roadway and getting traffic moving again.
Okay, David Kenney, of course, the public information officer there with MDOT. Folks have asked multiple times in this conversation, well, what about this particular road or that particular road? Of course, MDOTtraffic.com is your guys' public-facing way in which you kind of interface with folks. Is what I had pulled up behind the scenes here a second ago. I'll pull it back up again. And on that website, it shows road conditions. It does have, I'll click it back on, it does have the traffic cameras that you can see. They're not everywhere, but there are quite a few out there. Some of the questions were about around Oxford, which has just been very hard hit. But unfortunately, you guys are susceptible to the same thing that regular human beings are, which is when the power's out, the power's out on those.
That's
on
right.
those.
And our cameras there are not working because there's no power to them. And this website is a great tool for people to use. Also, they can download the MDOT traffic app and have it on their phone so they can take it with them. And what you can do with that is it gives real-time updates on traffic and road conditions, just like the website. And in addition, you can plug in routes on the app, and it'll tell you real-time traffic conditions along your route, whether or not you're going to see any closures, just to help you on your way to your destination. So we just recommend people download this app, have it on their phone, take it with them on the road, and it should assist them in traveling, whether it's during this winter weather event or anytime.
As I look at some of these roads, and again, there are just so many snowpacked and icy roads in West and Northwest Mississippi in particular. I'm reminded about the fact that, and I was looking at, I looked at this one while you were talking a second ago, and then I looked down I-55 at just in particular northern Panola County, where you have spots that are just, the northbound lanes there are rough. There becomes a time of day where it's been sunny 2 days in a row. Someone goes out, they have to get to work. Someone's told them they need to go. And we end up in a situation with cold tonight where you maybe get stuck on the side of the road for a little while. I mean, I think the general consensus is we're maybe not quite at just emergency travel only, but you really have to need to go before you need to go someplace in a lot of these spots, right?
Yeah, we realize that there are responders, people in the medical field that really do have to get to work, and some of those people are getting out there and going. And in many cases, it is an emergency. They are helping save lives, and no doubt they got to go. But we just ask people if they do get out there to take it slow. Um, I'm sure there's people who have driven uh, over the last couple days and have been able to make it to and from their destination. It's just slow go out there. The roads are open, but we just want people to be really, really careful.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Kenney?
We just ask that people give our people space to do this work. If you're out there driving and you have to drive and travel, just give our crews and other vehicles around you space. It'll just make our job a lot easier in clearing these roads, and realize over the next few days we're going to be out there in full force with plows on the road. They're going to be clearing snow. Just give them a good ample amount of space to do this work to get travel moving again.
Okay, I appreciate that so much. And again, we're praying for your hardworking men and women that have been out there trying to make it passable for the first responders, for the rest of us during this ice and winter storm that has come through. David Kenney, the Public Information Officer with the Mississippi Department of Transportation, joining us here on Mississippi Live this morning. Thank you so much. We'll be in contact, I'm sure the next time we have active weather here. And thank you for all you and your folks do.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So going back here to the satellite perspective for a moment, you can see what they're up against this. This is just the widespread nature of the snow and ice we have across the northern part of the state here, all the way up into Tennessee. So you can pretty clearly see this. None of this is cloud cover. This is all still what is reflecting back the sunlight there, and obviously places where roads are rough. And so you can almost just directly on this, even without looking at the MDOT map, tell that, okay, well, 55 is going to be rough up there in Panola County, Tate County, up around the Memphis area towards South Haven, Hernando, DeSoto County there, Marshall County. And then things get a little more passable up here for maybe northern Prentiss County. But then, of course, we have way more ice causing tree issues in this zone from New Albany back to Ripley, back to, of course, Oxford, Water Valley, Charleston, Grenada. And then, of course, some of the icing that we did have that was down here and fairly significant. I need to put this on a loop to make sure that's not a little bit of cloud cover there. That might actually be a little bit of cloud cover. Yeah, it is. So the ripples there tell us that that's a little cloud cover. But that cloud cover is there because there is still some ice on some of those spots there. One thing that also catches my eye is looking up here toward Sardis Lake. The fact that there is something right on top of that tells me that there are probably some frozen lakes out there, at least partially frozen lakes. That's probably what I'm looking at. There's probably ice on the lake. Do not walk on ice on lakes in Mississippi. It is almost never cold enough. My wife and I love a show called Alone, and they almost always send them out to someplace to basically freeze to death. They try to survive. It's great to watch that show, when you're not living the coldness of going outside. But I bring that up to these people that will be way up north, deep into Canada. The ice starts forming. They're dealing with the kind of temperatures we're having now for weeks and weeks and weeks before they feel confident on walking on that ice. So we might be talking about 4, 5, 6 days of really cold temperatures, but we're also warming up to around freezing, if not a little warmer than that in the afternoon. So it is never safe to walk on ice here in North Mississippi. That doesn't mean you can't do it for a step or two, but it's that one step you weren't prepared for that's the one where you fall in, and it's very easy to die in that scenario. So let's have that conversation with our kids. Let's have that conversation with our husbands, because husbands are dumb from time to time. And let's just not do it and not risk it. It could be fun, but it could be life-altering as well. Okay, I'm looking at your questions here. How can you check rural back road conditions when someone lives on the back roads? And the answer is you can't, unfortunately. The best way to check rural back road conditions is going to be calling somebody a mile or two down the road that you know, or 5 miles down the road. In many cases, those back roads are bad. But one of the things that we talked about with Casey Grist, who is with the American Red Cross, is there does tend to be a window where travel is possible, but not pleasant, and still dangerous, But one of the things we're trying to weigh here is dangerous versus deadly. And with the cold temperatures we've had and will continue to have, the potential for deadly cold air remains significant. And so if you are trapped, we need to try to get in contact with some authority that might be able to help us to either get connected with somebody or possibly be able to bring us to a warming shelter, a warming station. In Alcorn County, they are doing that. You can call the emergency management there in Alcorn County, and they will come, and they have folks that can bring you to their warming shelters. A warming shelter is being set up and activated by the Red Cross now in Ripley, and there are more and more of those being dispersed. Unfortunately, it's taken a couple days, but it always takes a couple days for resources to fully get deployed. So I know there's a lot of cold folks out there, and there are challenges with that. And I hear my voice going, so I'm going to have to start talking a little bit less, apparently. Someone was asking about Sunflower County, out around Grenada as well. Unfortunately, we continue to have, again, a lot of ice and snow on the roads there, and roads are virtually impassable in some spots over there as well. I'm going to apparently have to talk a little bit less because my voice is starting to go, so give me a moment. I say that, if you look at the MDOT traffic map on here, it disagrees with what I'm saying. It shows the roads are in better shape there. A few spots there north of Ruleville where they're slow. But those would be main state highways versus other things. And sometimes, by the way, this traffic data is what the road conditions actually are. And sometimes this traffic data relates back to cell phone data, people traveling, and the speed of people traveling. And in that way, anonymized to where they can't, say that it's actually you, but they put that in the system. And then that cell phone data on the speed movement goes in. So if there's not a lot of people on the roads, sometimes the roads look better on here. So if people are doing what they're supposed to do, staying home, then a lot of times the roads sometimes look better on these maps. I can't say for sure that's the way the MDOT map works, but I can say that at least when I was at the television station, that's the way our traffic maps worked. So with that in mind, I need to go ahead and probably shut down this live stream because my voice is starting to go. I need some water, and I'm hoping that's not where things go from here in the next couple of days. Our next live broadcast will be coming up next for sure, live broadcast at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 10 p.m. here in the Room to Room Weather Center. If we do have important information, we'll pass that along here in the app, on Facebook Live as necessary. We appreciate your support for following us, like, subscribe, and of course, follow along with us and all of our supporters, Room to Room, and all of those that have sponsored us here on Mississippi Live Weather. For all of us here, I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. We'll talk to you soon.
Game day brings its ups and downs, celebration and disappointment, anxiety and relief, friends and enemies. You can always argue over who should have won, but everyone can agree on great food. Appetizers, entrees, drinks, party platters, or even the taste of sweet victory. There's something for every season at Eat With Us restaurants.